Hello everyone. Hi again. This is Dr. Sumit Shinde speaking on the behalf of Medi Study Go. And today the topic that we are going to cover is Lefort fractures and especially the Lefort 1 fracture. So getting straight to the topic, what are your Lefort fractures? So Lefort fractures are nothing but the commonest patterns of midfacial fractures that were noticed by a scientist called René Lefort back in the World War II times, where he used to deliberately fracture the cadaveric heads and he used to notice the fracture patterns, and these three are the commonest patterns that he observed. So as you can see, there are three different fracture lines on your skull, and the lowest lying one over here is the Lefort 1 fracture line. So what do you see about this particular Lefort 1 fracture line? If you see this line extends at the center over here at the anterior nasal spine. The moment it starts at anterior nasal spine, this fracture line, as we zoom in, this fracture line can be seen extending laterally towards the lateral piriform aperture or the lateral piriform or the lateral nasal area. And then over here, this line curves around the canine fossa, as you can see, and this line extends posteriorly over the zygomatico-maxillary buttress, and finally posterior to the buttress, it fractures the pterygoid humulus, and behind that, it then fractures the pterygoid plates. This kind of a fracture is called a pterygomaxillary disjunction. So as you can see, this is a bilateral Lefort 1 line extending from ANS, anterior nasal spine, piriform, canine fossa, zygomatico-maxillary buttress. This is the buttress. This line that you see over here, this is nothing but the zygomatico-maxillary buttress. And as the fracture line extends beyond and posteriorly, it will fracture the pterygoid plates, which are a part of the sphenoid bone, by the way. It fractures the maxilla away from the pterygoid plates, and then, as you can imagine, the maxilla will start hanging. The maxilla hangs over here. The maxilla hangs over here, and here the maxilla technically down fractures and comes down, and that is why this is also called as a hanging or a floating maxilla. So now, on a real image, this is exactly what a Lefort 1 fracture line looks like. Please have a look. Anterior nasal spine over here, laterally the piriform area, laterally just over the canine fossa, zygomatico-maxillary buttress, and posteriorly towards the pterygoid plates. So if you have seen these images, this is the real deal that I would like you guys to see. Alright, this is how a Lefort 1 line is seen on a 3D reconstructed CT scan. Have a look at this. Over here, the anterior nasal spine has been detached from the central nasal septum. This is the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, which also forms the nasal septum. Laterally, piriform is fractured. This line extends further laterally, and as you can see, this little curvature over here, this is just over the roots of the canine, because the bone over here, the cortication at the canine fossa area is very strong. It extends just below the infraorbital foramen that you can see over here, and then further it extends posteriorly at the junction of the zygoma and the maxilla, that is the zygomatico-maxillary buttress, and it will extend further posteriorly to disjunction or to disconnect the maxilla from the pterygoid plates. So when you have clinical features like this, the maxilla technically is willing to come down, hanging and floating. That is why it's called a floating maxilla. But have you imagined what kind of clinical features are you expecting when you have a floating maxilla? So there we come to the clinical features of Lefort 1 fractures. Primarily, there is going to be a hanging maxilla 100%. The next clinical feature that you're going to see is, of course, epistaxis, that is bleeding from the nose. If you're going to have a fracture of the central septum of the nose, 100% is going to be bleeding. Correct or no? Bleeding in the maxillary antrum, that can also lead to sinusitis and something called as a hemosinus, where the maxillary sinus fills up with blood and the patient feels very heavy in the sinus areas. All right. Increased visibility of the anterior nares. All right. So these nostrils are your nares, and when the maxilla gets disconnected, these nares increase in the width, which is called increase in the alar base width of the nose. Next, you're going to have tenderness and pain in the GB sulcus. That is your vestibule. If this is the area that you see just above your attached gingiva, this is your GB sulcus, this is your vestibule, and that is where you're going to have ecchymosis, that is a purplish discoloration, and you're going to have pain and tenderness in that area, because that is what a fracture line will show like. So mid-palatal fracture, there could be a mid-palatine split in this kind of a deal, because the maxilla is technically two maxillae, it's a paired bone. So if it splits from the center, that is going to be a problem for you, because that is going to cause a lot of pain. That's a palatal fracture we are talking about. The mobile teeth, of course, if there is going to be a fracture of the maxilla, there is going to be a fracture of the alveolus as well, and that is going to have mobile teeth. And the most important one is called a Guerin sign. So what is a Guerin sign? Guerin sign is nothing but ecchymosis because of the greater palatine artery. What does it look like clinically? Don't worry, I'm going to show you guys over here in the next image. All right, degloving injuries, they simply mean that there are going to be contused and lacerated wounds which are going to be present in the GB sulci or in the oral mucosa anywhere, and that could also be the lip, because the injury is not calculated. There is going to be a force directed towards the maxilla from an anterior direction. So definitely there's a very high chance that it's going to crush the lips and then transmit its force to the maxilla. All right, there is going to be a step deformity and crepitus. So what is crepitus? Crepitus is nothing but entrapment of the air within the soft tissue. All right, that is also called an emphysema. Why would there be air entrapped in the soft tissues? There would be air that leaks out from a fractured maxillary sinus, which creeps out into the soft tissue, and that is why you'll get a crackling sound if you palpate the GB sulcus in the posterior maxillary region, and that is going to be your crepitus. Contusion and edema, of course, heaviness of the anterior teeth and gingiva. This could be because injury to the anterior superior alveolar nerve, which is a branch of the infraorbital nerve. And as we saw over here in the fracture line, look at this. As we saw over here in the fracture line passes very, very close to the infraorbital foramen, and that is why it could lead to tenderness and it could lead to paresthesia also if the nerve gets transected. So what you see over here is nothing but the Guerin's sign. Look at this. This over here is a Guerin sign. Greater palatine artery comes out of the greater palatine foramen and supplies half of the portion of the palate. All right. If there is a fracture in the maxilla and the maxilla is technically floating, there is going to be an injury to the artery and its branches. And when this blood leaks out in the submucosal compartment, it's going to give you a purplish discoloration, and that appearance is nothing but the pathognomic sign in a Lefort 1 fracture, that is a Guerin's sign. So if you have all of these features, and if you have a radiographical evaluation already submitted, if you have already discovered it on a CT scan, already discovered it on an X-ray, what are the X-rays that you're going to do for a Lefort 1? The X-rays are going to be, the gold standard is a contrast CT scan or a non-contrast CT scan. Both of them are going to work. But if you are suspecting a nerve injury, you might want to have a look into the soft tissue, and that is where you guys want to see it in an MRI or a contrast enhanced CT. Once you have confirmed a radiological diagnosis for a Lefort 1 fracture, what is your next step? Of course, you're going to want to operate it, right? So how do you operate this? Please have a look at the Lefort 1 plating techniques. So in a Lefort 1 fracture, you're going for an intraoral vestibular incision where you open up the upper GB sulcus, expose the entire area which I'm marking. You're going to expose till the infraorbital foramen. You're going to expose the zygomatico-maxillary buttress. You don't want to expose the pterygoid plates. That is not the area where you really want to operate. All right. And then you have exposed the lateral piriform area of the nose. The next thing is The most preferred plates in a standard Lefort one or even a high Lefort one, a line which is somewhere over here in this area. This kind of a fracture line is also called a high Lefort one fracture line. Nonetheless, choice of your plates should be an L plate, which is 1.5 mm system plate or a 2 mm system plate. 1.5 mm plate is pink in color usually. 2 mm plates are blue in color usually. So 1 L plate at the zygomatic-maxillary buttress, 1 L plate at the nasomaxillary buttress, and contralateral 1 L plate at the nasomaxillary buttress, 1 L plate at the zygomatic-maxillary buttress. The preferred length of the screws is usually 8 to 10 millimeters for these kind of fractures. And if you want to see the real deal, this is how it's going to look like. But first, let me tell you a very important step. So of course, you know that your maxilla is fractured, your maxilla is hanging, but is it always a complete bony fracture? Maybe there is a part of the bone that is still attached and that is going to cause a malocclusion. What do you do in such kind of a scenario? You complete the fracture line so that you can have a complete mobility in the maxilla. And how do you do that? You do that with a Roy's disimpaction forceps. You completely mobilize the maxilla, you put it into occlusion using your dental wiring as we have seen it in the dental wiring lectures, and the next thing that you're going to see is this. One of the cases performed by me and a very close colleague of mine. Please have a look. So what you see over here, this is a floating maxilla. As you can see, the maxilla has been down fractured, it has come down. This is the anterior nasal spine over here. This is the pyriform aperture, as you can see. Over here, this is the zygomatico-maxillary buttress, both of them. And as you can see, plate L plate number 1, L plate number 2, L plate number 3, and L plate number 4. The incision that you see over here, this incision is nothing but your vestibular incision, where we have exposed the entirety of the maxilla. This one over here, this is a glimpse of the infraorbital foramen, which is just above this incision line, as you can see. And that is how, my friends, you will plate a Lefort 1 fracture in a maxilla. Thank you so much. And the next section for the MCQs, please don't miss it.